Hi, I'd like to welcome you back to the Talk Corner. My name is Auntie Jemima. I hope you're keeping warm. Man, the cold that is going round and the homa that is going round, clearly you can tell or you can hear from my voice that I'm having the cold. But I'm taking medication and I'm keeping warm. As you can see, I'm warmly dressed. Hopefully we will beat this cold and move on very, very fast because, hey, this weather is showing off. Today's topic is about growing up as a firstborn, and the things I have learned and the things I will pass on to my firstborn. Karibu sana. I'd like to read you something that I found very insightful, and it says, I think the best thing I ever did in my adult life was digging deep and asking myself why I am the way I am, why I do things the way I do. It takes a ton of work and intentionality, but getting to know yourself on a deeper level will help you thrive. So I am an introvert and I love my space. I love staying somewhere. You'll find me in my house. Like I'll go for leave and stay in my house the whole week. I'll not go out. If I go out, I'm going to get something and then come back. You'll not find me going to hang out in places that are crowded or going to places where you understand what I'm talking about. And even if I go to a place where there are people, I like just sticking with either one friend or two friends. And if the friend I have gone with starts hanging out with other people, hey, then you'll start thinking that I am sick. And I have been trying to do, just like the quote says, I've been trying to do a lot of soul searching and a lot of digging from my past. And also when I did therapy, when I started therapy in 2019, 2020, there's something that we you know, when you're going for therapy and you have to dig things from your childhood, because let me tell you something, a lot of trauma that you're going through, a lot of things that we go through as adults, they can all be traced back to when you were a child. The things you had when you were a child, the things that were instilled in you when you were growing up, even the things that you did not hear much growing up, those are the things you carry on to your future. And these are the things that, if not addressed in good time, they are things that can really have a toll on your mental health. So growing up as a firstborn, number one, you become responsible at a very young age. Because, and this is something almost all firstborns who grew up at our time have gone through, and even those who grew up before us, those who've grown up right now it's a bit easy on them, but you find yourself becoming a deputy parent, for lack of a better word. That is what a lot of people do. Because you grow up and you start bringing up your younger siblings. There's no time for playing for you because you have to look after your brothers, your sisters. You don't have time for your own self to be a child because you're already an adult. And I remember last year, 2020, we were doing some CSR with Wananse, and she mentioned something to the teenagers and to the parents that we need to allow our children to be children. We need to allow children to pass through that stage of childhood. Let them play all the games, let them do all that. And that way, there is no stage that will be skipped in life, and it will be very smooth for them. The transition from childhood to adulthood and to the later stages in life will be very smooth. I do not know whether it was Michael Jackson or which musician it was who was denied his whole childhood because of his career. He started singing at a very young age, and later when he was an adult, that is when he was starting to paint his room into those, he was painting cartoons. I'm not very sure, you guys can check that and confirm in the comment section which musician that was. So growing up as a firstborn has also contributed much into my introversy, if you ask me, and that was because I did not have much time to go and play, because most of the time when I needed to go and play, I was called to watch my brother. I was called to watch my brother and sister, because now my sister came after. And I think that is why most of the time I am keeping to myself. Number two, and this is something that I was thinking, that parents, now that we know better, now that you know better, you should try and avoid making the firstborn child feel as if they are not a child. For example, when the firstborn baby is playing with a toy, and this other small one wants to cry or starts crying for the same toy, I think you need to buy them both toys. So uwache kunyang'anya the firstborn, unapatia the secondborn. Sometimes you're like, mpatie yeye ni mtoto, but this other one is also a child. All right. My own brother will tell you, or my sister-in-law will tell you, I'm very intentional. Even when I go home and I see them doing that to my niece, I'm always like, no, let her play with this phone, give the other one the other phone. That will, it will feel there will be equality. And even in expression, a lot of people who are close to me will tell you that I am not the best at expressing myself. Because again, growing up, were you allowed to express your feelings freely, or were you hushed down? Every time you try to say this, you're told, ngojea kwanza nichukue mtoto, ngojea kwanza nataka kufanya hivi. So if you're having a child who's a firstborn and there's another one who has just come in, just be very careful about how you show this firstborn, now that this other one has come, how are you showing? Are you showing them that they are less of a child and this other one is more of a child? Are you hushing them down to listen to this other one? Because that will also bring a lot of self-expression issues later in life. But it takes a lot. For me to tell you that you've considered me, it takes me a whole lot of time, imenikula, and then I explode later on. That's when I'm coming to tell you, you did this to me. Or most of the times, it's actually the other party who will feel, there's some tension between auntie and I need to address that. And this is something I think, and I also know, and I know it's something because I did not grow up expressing myself more, because again, I was a firstborn. The other thing is, let your firstborn children feel they're good enough. When they do something, tell them it's good enough. I have spoken to a few of my friends, and they've told me that their siblings who grew up grow wakigombanisho, and even when they performed better in school, they were told, no, you can do better. That time you're number 2, or you have improved from this other position to this other position. But bado nambiwa, bado. I know we all want our children to excel, but always make sure that you tell them that they are good enough. If they come to you telling you how good they feel about an improvement, now that we have CBC, please affirm that. Tell them that it's good. They show you their drawing. They tell you, this is what I did at school, mommy, today. Please be their first cheerleader and tell them, mommy, daddy, that is very good. Because the more you tell them that it's not good enough, even in future, let me tell you, by the way, you might take it as just a kamea nini, akigrow up, sijui nini ata change. But right now we have adults who don't feel like what they're doing is good enough, because even growing up as children, everything they did, and especially firstborns, they were told it was not good enough. They did not feel that affirmation. They did not get that affirmation from their parents, who should be their first cheerleader. You should be your first child. You should be the one affirming them. And then finally, tell them they're beautiful. Tell your girls they're beautiful. Let it come from you first. Let them feel the beauty in their own skin when they are growing up. Honestly, I think our parents didn't know much and they didn't know better, but we know better now. We know that what happens to you in your childhood, if carried forward into adulthood, it can bring a lot of trauma. A lot of piled trauma is very dangerous. So tell them they're beautiful, so that even when they're growing up, they will not have any esteem issues. Man, when I went through cyberbullying in 2018, 2019, and I sat down with the therapist, and I remember at some point we were going back into the childhood, and she asked me, do you remember hearing you were beautiful as a small girl? And I told her, I don't quite have much. I don't have much on that, right? So it's something I have had to work on as I grew up as an adult. And truth be told, working on yourself when you're an adult, it takes a lot of work, because you also have a lot of other things you're taking care of. You have bills you're taking care of, which are not even very easy or cheap. And then now you have to start working on that self-love. And when you're in a position like mine, when you're subject to public scrutiny and criticism, it becomes also hard. So make sure you're telling your firstborns that their good is good enough. Make sure that telling them they're beautiful comes from you first, so that they're also able to see it from themselves, and they're able to affirm that from within. All right, let them not wait ati sasa wakiwa kubwa ndio wanaanza kufight hiyo story ya self-esteem. The other thing I've talked about is don't hush them. Let them express themselves freely. I know there's another baby that is coming, but remember, this is also your baby. This is also a child. Please do not deny your firstborns the good chance. Do not deny your firstborns the chance to grow as children also. Sasa, if you have 2 children, buy the 2 toys, buy them dolls, so that when one is playing, the other one is crying over this, you're not going to grab this other one from this one and give this other one to this one. I mean, come on. We know better now, all right? Feelings and things that are instilled in you as a child can really cause a lot of harm. And then tell your children you love them. Firstborn, secondborn, thirdborn, and lastborns. Tell your children you love them. Remind them every day that you love them, that they will always know that back at home, my mom loves me, my dad loves me. So that even when love is offered to them when they are adults and all that, they will be able to distinguish when there is genuine love and love that is not genuine. Before I go, one other thing I've noticed about myself is that I have put a lot of people before me. I find myself putting others first before me again. Why? Because I was taught that I come second. That before I play with something, my little brother has to play with it. My little sister has to play with it. If I'm playing with this thing, na huyu alilie, nitanyang'anywa na yeye apatiwe aanze kucheza nayo. So growing up, I have found myself putting people first. And what happens with putting a lot of people first is that you teach them that you become second. And truth be told, we live in a very cruel world. And truth be told, we live in a world that is full of heartless people and full of unappreciative people. Because the more you put people first, people walk all over you. Watu ukikuwa kind towards them, when you extend so much kindness to them, they walk all over you and they take that for granted. And they think it's obvious. So they put you second because you have taught them that you come second. The other last thing that I found, or when I was just going through therapy, is that I rarely ask for help. And if I ask for help from you, then just know that niko huko chini. Ninakufa. Before I ask for help. And I think also that's, I don't know how that connects with being a firstborn. Again, I think it's because of self-expression. Yeah, it is because I am not able to say I need help as soon as I should. So I wait until it is really eating me up. Even for me to go for therapy, nilikuwa naumwa. I was feeling physical pain in my mind. That is when I decided, imetosha, sasa wacha niende nikatafute help. So, sending so much love to all the firstborns out there. You guys are amazing. And let's do better with our firstborns. Oh, I cannot wait to instill better, to be more intentional with my children. And if you're watching this and you have two children, or you have a firstborn and there's another one coming, please make sure that the transition between these two children is very smooth. And make sure you don't leave the firstborn feeling left out. This is also your child. Please, please, please do not instill trauma into the child unknowingly, but because now we know better. My name is Auntie Jemima. Have yourself a beautiful, reflective, warm weekend, and I'll see you guys next week at the Talk Corner.